Devin Haney after. So therefore, Devin Haney's full WBC champion. Because Teofimo Lopez didn't want to win the WBC strap. At least I can say Loma won the WBC strap. He actually was an out-and-out WBC champion. He was given the opportunity to become undisputed, and they said, on the regards of, you can be undisputed if in the next fight you fight Devin Haney. He didn't fight Devin Haney, so therefore Devin Haney's full champion and you're not full champion anymore. Whereas I thought the Lomachenko and Teofimo fight, that was for undisputed. That's how I thought it personally.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how, you know, like I said, I'm on Twitter and I'm seeing people saying that he wasn't. Then you see how ESPN ranked it as far as, you know, their historical analyzation of Undisputed. They have him in there. So I was like, yes, they had Kambosos in there as one of, you know, history's undisputed champions before the fight.
The reason why that's not fair, and the reason why they can't do it, is because the other governing bodies, the IBF, the WBA, and the WBO, they've never recognized the franchise champion as a champion. So in order for you to be unified, in order for there to be a collective cognizant idea that we all agree as governing bodies there's only one champion, I have to recognize your strap. The reason why the WBO isn't seen as a belt is because the other governing bodies don't recognize it. So the other governing bodies did not recognize the franchise champion. So therefore, you know where they say only unifications outdo mandatories? They didn't recognize WBC franchise champion as a unification.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you can't always, like, you got to do a little homework when you hear information sometimes, and you can't just, you know, go with what you see. Like, because I thought last night they were incorrect a couple times breaking down different scenarios in boxing. And it's like, well, that don't make any sense, but you're putting that out to the mass public as if that's just concrete stone. You feel what I'm saying? Like, so I mean, just, we know now who obviously is undisputed. It's no question. None of this franchise stuff, none of this regular champion stuff. There's one guy, and going towards the future, if he's beaten or when he's beaten, you know, because everybody loses, you know, if you're not Floyd. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? If he loses, then whoever beats him will definitely be recognized as undisputed. Also, whatever the lineal, they should get that. They should definitely get the ring. You know what I mean? Because you're beating the guy that beat the guy that beat the guy that beat the guy. So getting that accomplishment inside the ring, I think, should clean up everything. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be...
I mean, but yeah, like, we've seen... They said there's been 8 undisputed champions. I say there's only been 7.
That's my point. That's why I asked you what your thoughts
was. Because
you got
Jermaine Taylor, Bernard Hopkins, Usyk Crawford, Josh Taylor, and Devin Haney, and Demel Charlie.
I agree with that list. That's why I said that's why I wanted to, you know, talk to you about it, because you know, you're a pundit, you an analyst, you one of the great minds in boxing, and you my little homie. So I was like, let me get my dude thoughts, because I ain't get to really talk boxing last night with nobody. Obviously, everybody was in their own zone doing their thing, watching the fights. But with this, sometimes where we miss being able to really break the fights down live for people.
I also forgot another name. Canelo's undisputed, right? So
Canelo's undisputed. So yeah.
So we actually have had 8 undisputed. We've actually had.
But
6 undisputed. We've had 6 undisputed fights in. No, 7 undisputed fights in 4 years.
That's a run. That's why, I mean, that's what brought up to me the idea for the article that I just put out. So, you know, I mean, anybody, you know, get a chance to tap into that, they need to do that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that gave me the idea of actually, with this happening, what's the best division? Who's the, like, the marquee? Who's the league? Because we know historically for the past 20 years or so, it's been welterweights, you know, with Floyd being on the run, Manny being in that division for so long. You know what I mean? These guys, obviously Spence making waves for the last 5-6 years or whatever. You know what I mean? That's been the division in boxing, you know what I mean? But just somehow, I think lightweights, these guys, these young cats came and stole the show to a certain extent. And the possibility of extending that lead for the next few years is still out there with these guys starting to fight each other. We find there's some independence in boxing to a certain extent.
I think
You
right
feel me?
now, bro, just to put the icing on the cake, we just need a heavyweight. We need a heavyweight undisputed champion. We need a heavyweight undisputed champion. That's all we need right now.
I mean, that would really let us know that boxing is on the path it should stay on for at least a certain amount of time. Because I know breaking the belts up, it makes for more money. It gives, the contenders, that first look sort of scenario, you know what I mean? So I get that. Sometimes that works for boxing, but this is actually a good run, bro. I'm not mad at this run boxing is on.
I'm gonna show you something that's even more interesting. Look at this, yeah. Terence Crawford, when he became undisputed, he relinquished all his straps. When Usyk became undisputed, he made one title defense. Do you know every single person who's made a title defense after being undisputed, other than Usyk, has lost? Everybody who's after becoming undisputed, they've lost in their next title defense. When Jermaine Taylor,
technically that's not true. That's not true, because didn't they give your boy Taylor that fight? So technically.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah, we know he lost, but you know what I'm saying. Technically, yeah. But go ahead.
Because I was gonna say, if Jamal Charlo makes a title defense, he would be only the second man in the history of the sport to successfully make a title defense of undisputed. By saying that, Josh Taylor done, but he didn't really do it, did he?
Nah. Yeah, that's the thing about
Even Canelo, after becoming undisputed, his next fight he lost.
Yeah, see, another technicality of boxing. So if you look at boxing from a historical perspective, it could be misleading. You see what I'm saying? It can be very misleading. So that would be true. You're technically correct at how the record book should read, is what you're saying. Like, Usyk is the only one that literally won all the straps and made a successful defense of it against who was it again that he beat in that defense, just for historical purposes?
Tony Berry, not Tony Berry.
And to me, that's a solid defense. That's not a cupcake defense, which they thought, to me, Cantrell was going to be for Taylor. They thought Cantrell was going to be a cupcake, and they didn't read the ingredients on that cupcake.
If Jamal, right now, I rate Charlo so highly, purely and simply off the performance. And I was telling Jeff yesterday, this morning, I was like, for me, I rate Devin Haney because of the accomplishment, the performance. I wasn't surprised, but I just thought he was fighting a fighter that was lesser of him. But Charlo, he was so amazing against Castano, because I actually rate Castano as a fighter. I rate him higher than Cambosos anyway. And Charlo literally just broke this dude down in every way possible and stopped this dude. And I'm just thinking to myself, the only reason why I don't have this dude in my top 5 is purely and simply because he had an off night. But he showed that he can correct it by going in there and beating dudes. I have Canelo above him, but only because of Canelo's track record and history. But Charlo, if Charlo makes some title defense, like 2 title defenses, he's got to go down as an all-time great right now.
All right, answer me this. You asked me my top 5 right off the top of your head. What's your top 5?
And I know you're going to disagree with this, but I got Usyk number 1, I got Crawford number 2, I got Spence number 3, I got Louis number 4, and Canelo number 5. But I could easily have Charlo ahead of Canelo.
All right, my argument with you with that is, if accomplishments is a big part of the list, Usyk isn't accomplished just yet. He don't got all the belts. So I think.
But he had all the belts. He's a 2-time unified champion. He's the only one in history to do that. And he done it in less than 25.
I mean, I get that, but I mean, yeah, he has been undisputed. But again, that's in a very lackluster, very international division that did is not the greatest competition, the most recognizable competition. So I think that hurts elevating him like that because you're such a hardcore. No, hold on, Shane, let me go. Because you're such a hardcore, my dude, I get your positioning of him. But for
I hear what you're saying. It's right, but Terence Crawford's road to undisputed was easy as well. Like he fought some easy people in his road to undisputed as well.
Now so that's why I'm saying if we was to go into the road towards these rankings, some guys have had harder routes to me, which would be a Charlo. So I elevate him a little bit more with that accomplishment when we talking current pound for pound. You see what I'm saying? Cause his road was tough. He had to correct some wrongs, and you know what I mean. And he's a guy that showed flaws, but was fixable. See, we seeing guys now. No, hold on. Let me finish. We're seeing guys now that we still want to know what's their flaw. Like, can they overcome their flaw? You see what I'm saying? Like, I think Charlo's proven that. So, to me, on my list, that's part of the reason why I had him number one. You know what I'm saying? So, I think, but again, seeing what you said about Usyk, I got to put him on my list. I don't even know why I didn't have him on my list. My list wasn't bad, but that was off the top of the dome. Not, analyzing the idiosyncrasies of boxing that you got to be like, okay, that's facts. So you got to elevate
the thing is, you're not saying this, but a lot of people were talking about Canelo, and this is what I say. People are like, cruiserweight's not a good division. Cool, that's fair, that's right. But Canelo beat European level fighters to become undisputed. So you can't say that about Usyk when he beat European level fighters, but then so did Canelo. Canelo beat Billy Joe Saunders.
But if you notice, I didn't have Canelo on my list, did I?
That's why I said not you. That's why I said not you. But people were saying that. People will say that right now. Usyk, like there's people who's Canelo fans who would say Usyk was undisputed at cruiserweight. That's European fighters. That's the same thing as what Canelo's done.
But first thing I'm gonna say in difference to people that argue that, Usyk, first of all, is beating bigger men. You understand what I'm saying? That matters when it comes to the actual fight itself and coming out of the fight ahead. And then he's doing it with boxing. You see what I'm saying? We didn't necessarily see Canelo outbox anybody on that run of European people. So Usyk has a Western style with European traditions and a European landscape to fight on. So I think I gotta give you that, and I gotta find a way to get this dude on my list. Like I gotta really do a good top five.
I mean, Fulton to me, he's done so much. This is why I say, where I agree with you, boxing is in such a great place, and you're saying the same thing Jeff was saying. When have we ever been in a situation where we can literally we can make a case for so many people for being pound for pound number one? Literally. The truth is, if Inoue beat Donaire, you can make a case for him. He's a 4-weight world champion. See my point? Like, there's so many fighters you literally could make a case for. Stephen Fulton you can make a case for. Errol Spence, Crawford, Jamal Charlo, like Usyk. We've never been in a situation like that for boxing.
I mean, it's been some years. I would think you would have to probably go back to the 80s. You know what I mean? Where we had a lot of names.
I was born then, bro. I was born in 99, no 98, so I was born then, bro.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm saying as far as like the Hearns and the Sugar Rays and the Haglers and the Durans, all of these guys at points throughout, certain years in their boxing career definitely was on pound for pound lists. You know what I mean? Either together.
I mean, and the 80s also had like Larry Holmes.
That's what I'm saying. Like that was just one group from, let's say super lightweight all the way up to junior middleweight that those guys kind of fought in throughout their careers, and at different times they could have been on them lists in that era. And we didn't even talk about heavyweights, and we didn't even give a shine to the what's the boy that went undefeated from Mexico, the Lopez cat? You know what I mean? He had to have been a pound.
You mean Lopez? You mean he Martinez? I mean, who they got Chavez?
Not Chavez. It was a boy that went 50 and like 0 and. That's a guy that's at the time you if you doing pound for pounds at that time he had to been on your list. You see what I'm saying? So even back then we had good lists, but I gotta agree with you. Right now, shit, bro, it's stacked across different divisions. See, even back to my point. Hold up, back to my point. With the Duran and them in that era, they were kind of clustered. This pound for pound list is across landscape of boxing, all the way up to heavyweight.
Bro, you ain't even brought up the likes of Shakur Stevenson, 130, Viterbian, 175. Like,
see what I mean? The pound for pound list can be argued for a whole straight week between just two people, let alone get a third and fourth person in there, bro. You talk about a whole month worth of going back and forth of trying to consolidate a list that everybody can agree on. That would be the hardest thing to do in boxing right now. That's the tweet. That's tweet of the day right there. Hardest thing in boxing to do.
The only disappointment is normally in great eras of boxing, you always have great middleweight. And middleweight is just not popping right now. Like middleweight is just not popping.
Yeah, it's good guys, but they ain't got the steam like the rest of these guys got right now. You got some names. You got Andrade. Yeah, you got Andres. You got the middleweight champ in Triple G right now. So there are names there, but are these names pound for pound guys? I agree, they're not. And that's part of the reason. That's part of the reason that we can't argue for any of these guys to be on the pound for pound list. Now, if Triple G wins this fight, can you give him an honorary sort of thing? Possibly. You know what I mean? Because he would be undisputed. You know what I mean? Even if it's going towards retirement. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even if it's going towards retirement, you still would have to kind of add them to your list or update your list currently after that possible accomplishment. So, you know what I mean? It's man, this is the best time to really talk boxing, bro. That's why I can't wait till we get together on the podcast tomorrow, man. What I'm going to do, bro, this conversation we just had, man, I'm going to upload this shit to YouTube, man, and let everybody hear how we be really just chopping behind the scenes.
Did you record it?
Yeah, I recorded the last part of it. I was like, man, this shit too good, bro. I need to put this on YouTube. But anyway.
This is how me and Jem started the podcast, We used to talk for hours on the phone, and he just used to record it. And then he used to put them up on YouTube. I never used to like being on camera or speaking. I never used to like being on camera. So that's how he used to trick me into getting me to speak on camera and stuff like that. Literally just recording the conversation and putting them on.
There you go, bro, because we just broke it down real good for everybody. And we ain't done. We get the guru on there tomorrow. You know how we do, Goodfellas Podcast. So definitely chime in. We're gonna be getting it in over the weekend, man. Like I said, I didn't like the card originally, but I thought it finished off well. You know what I'm saying? I still got a hiccup with that Junior 5 Lucas fight, but we could definitely break that down a little bit more tomorrow, though. But little bro, man, I'm gonna get up out of here because these tablets and this damn phone dying. So let me plug this shit up, bro.
Alright, cool, bro.
I'm gonna holler at you a little later, fam.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, gone.